A very good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is so excited and energetic as I am of the events that have been happening over the past week. We can be assured and go back home feeling that this COP is going to be a little bit different compared to what in terms of the implementation practices that we're going to see. I'm so honored to be part of these amazing panels to see the type of initiatives that they're taking in order to make sure that agriculture by itself it's taking a better shape. So kudos to what you guys are doing. I want to use this opportunity to talk about regenerative agriculture and the role of composting in the fight for the climate change. My name is Mr. Muhammad Danbappa. I'm the co-founder and CCO of IFAZ Recycling. IFAZ Recycling is a circular economy-based company in Dubai where we want to eliminate the idea of waste in general. How we do that? We try to take waste materials and create new products so that they do not end up in the dump sites or in the landfills that leads to generation and expansion of green gas emissions. What we're going to talk about today, briefly, is what is regenerative agriculture and what is the link between it and climate change. Secondly, why waste material? Why are we generating as much waste as possible, and what can we do to make sure that it doesn't? And we can do all the talks and all the discussions. What are we doing as a company, IFAZ, and the services that we offer in terms of the climate change that we're talking about? And finally, to conclude with the systems changes and not the climate change that we're talking about. So, what is regenerative agriculture? In simple terms, it's just the best practices in order to increase biodiversity and make sure the quality of our soil is better and we extend the life cycle of it. We are used to conventional agriculture where there are lots of negative impacts in terms of social and environmental aspects coming out of it. We make a shift to more sustainable or organic composting. It's doing a lot of positive things and it brings a lot of changes in terms of things, but it's doing more harm than good. So regenerative agriculture is a transition to more positive and impact in terms of social and conventional methods of doing this, the thing. The key principles behind it, they're as simple as possible. We should minimize soil disruption. So what is happening now, when we are farming, we dedicate the farm to grow a particular fruit, a vegetable, or a grain for a particular period of time. What happens after that, it's that land does not get regenerated again. The second thing is how can we keep the soil well covered with different aspects of organisms that are going to enrich the soil out of it. So the idea is to plant as diverse crops as possible to make sure that we keep the biodiversity flowing and the organisms that are generated are not going down the soil, which at the end of the day cause the methane gas emissions that go out to the atmosphere. The use of chemical fertilizers, they do more harm than good at the end of the day because the chemicals, after the fertilizer, it goes down into the ground. Plant grazing. So what happens, we bring animals to come and graze the grasses. So the animals are not able to graze, to do the grazing of the entire ecosystem there. What they do, they take a little out of it and then the remaining becomes part of the organisms that go down deep the soil. So the ideal thing to do is to have a demarcation. So if I have a land, I can make it into 4 different sectors, put the animals to graze in one particular sector. When they're done, they can move on to the next sector. This will allow the land by itself organically grow back to the existing condition that it is, and it's good for the agriculture. Like, this is a perfect picture to explain the system in terms of what the regenerative agriculture is and what impact does it make. So if there are any things, any key takeaways that we can take it is the three things that are the most common ones are rotating crops. So if I am able to do, or if a farmer is able to do an agricultural activity for a certain period of time, let's rechange it and have more of the crops to come back to it. The grazing of animals, let's make it as periodic as possible to make sure that it involves the situations that we're trying to cover. This is regenerative agriculture in general. What are we doing as a company to ensure that we have this? Like I mentioned, we are a circular economy company, and what we do, we take food materials that are either expired or considered scrap, and we turn it into organic compost within 24 hours. We take in any materials that are in your supermarkets or in your hotels, and then we take it into new products. Example is soaps. We're all in a hotel staying today, this convention. I believe you have seen these tiny soaps where they're like 10 grams or 20 grams. Like after one use, we just throw them away. We take it and then reprocess it into a new soap that can be used within the agricultural aspect to clean the animals, to clean the places where they stay. We're making car wash from the hair shampoo that we use on a daily basis. We extract ethanol from beverages like the Coke, Pepsi, and energy drink that we drink. And anything that is not recyclable, we try to upcycle it into a different thing, like a furniture or a painting. We're all doing this 100% locally to make sure that the amount of CO2 emissions that we are generating in terms of scope 1, scope 3 discussions that we had earlier 3 days ago, we minimize the impact of it. So what is the role, what do we do with the compost that we talk about, and how do we get it? Usually we preach practices that are so difficult to implement. What we do, we come up with a home recycling mobile app where people can go to their mobile phones or any smart device, download the application, register for the service. We will arrange a collection to your homes, take the recyclables material. What other companies or what common practices are these days is people will just go to your home, take the plastic bottles that you use, take the aluminum can that you use, but they are not able to take what we generate the most, which is food. So we are able to take that. Based on statistics that we're talking about, 50% of the waste that an individual is generated per day is related to food. But we are not doing much in terms of that. So Recova App does that. People can subscribe. This is currently in Dubai, and this is what we're trying to make sure we scale it up to other places so that people can have the flexibility, can have the availability that is challenging. The products that we make, so depending on what we take from the materials. This is a picture of different forms of materials that we can generate from these food materials. From high nutrient soil that we can be used for the grazing and the overgrazing issues that we're talking about, to 100% premium compost that farmers, landscaping companies, golf courses, and other sports institutions can actually use it in terms of their activities. This is myself. That's what I was not here like the first few days of the COP. We are exhibiting at the Gulf Food Manufacturing in Dubai, which is one of the largest exhibitions for all food manufacturers and food processing companies, to see what the response will be from the people in terms of the application of it worldwide. And I can tell you, we receive positive response from individuals, from companies, from organizations, and invitations to other places. Sudan, one of the best example. The guys that we received were saying in Sudan they are generating a lot of organic fertilizers because the soil there is so fertile that if you put the chemical fertilizer, it actually does more harm than good. So Saudi Arabia is one of the things where agriculture is there. So we're trying to see how we can take it into the possible. I give you example of the home app. The home application is just one way of taking the product. So for every bottle of milk that you buy in a supermarket, there is at least 3 of those in pre-production or post-production. So in order to make the most impact, we need to go to the right sources where they are, and they can come in different forms and shapes, whether it's expired. We all have the best before dates in the tuna can that we buy or the noodles that we buy. We have obsolete materials that, it's Christmas packaging or it's Ramadan packaging or it's a Diwali packaging. We cannot sell it anymore, and it ends up in the dump site. So what we do, we take it and then convert it into the new product. I'm going to use the example of statistics my colleague Ali mentioned at the last thing. The food waste that is generated on a global basis is worth almost $1 trillion US. That's a huge number. It's almost double the GDP of Scandinavian countries combined together, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. And if we take Saudi Arabia, the largest economy in the region, that's almost double of it also. And in terms of impact that it makes, if we convert it into carbon emission, we're generating almost a billion as well. So if we're to rank carbon emissions based on the quantity, US will come first, China will come second, and then food waste will come third. That's a huge number. And we're not doing much about it. But with solutions like this, we are able to prove to the concept that we don't need to do much. We can go back to nature and do the kind of things. This is just a way of showing you what the current practices are and how we can move to the circularity. So every one of you might be aware of, okay, this is how a recycling company will take or a waste management company will take. It's nothing more that they will collect the materials, they will receive it in a certain facility, segregate as much as they can, and then shred the materials. After shredding, what happens to it? It typically goes back to the landfills or to the dump sites. At the end of the day, the CO2 emissions and then the climate effects come back to the picture again. What we are promoting is to have a circularity process. We have principles from the Paris Agreement, from establishments like MacArthur Foundation, with a way to do it in ways of, yes, we will receive the materials, we will sort and segregate, but while processing, we can extract the value out of it. We can create a new product out of it that is at least extending the life cycle of that particular product by giving it a second chance. Upon that, we will be able to give a sustainability report where people or companies can look at the KPIs that have been set. Okay, what am I able to achieve? How does it make the impact? And it should be measured at every stage, including the percentage of the reusable shopping bags that we do, the repeat participation, and so on and so forth. In conclusion, this is a little video of the exhibition that we talk about, and I will.
And there's a place that I've dreamed of, and there's where And there's a place that I've dreamed of, where I can free my mind. I hear the sounds of the season and lose all sense of time. I'm moving far away to a sunny place.
So to conclude that, the one key takeaway to take, guys, I would like to share with you, like, it's actually possible to make an impact in terms of reducing the CO2 emissions that we're having, in terms of the green gases that we're having, in huge quantity, rather than going to homes and start taking plastic bottles or telling you to use a reusable shopping bag. I'm going to ask my colleague, Mr. Ali, to give me a sample of the product to just show you how that is possible. This is a car wash that is made from your expired or unused shampoo, body wash, and every other household products that you use. And this can be used by companies to wash their fleet, whether they're a logistic company or even a gas or petrol station where you can go and wash your car, feeling that you have done something amazing. I'm going to pass it over. You can sniff a little bit out of it. Don't worry, nothing is going to happen. This is tested by the Ministry of Climate Change in UAE. With that, I leave you with the crew and looking forward to having more discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. This is a very interesting recycling process you're having. Thank you. So, dear audience, we reached